here's something you already know. Potholes are a pain, even at low speeds. On the motorway, they can be even more dangerous.
They really can. And now one motoring organisation is saying that more needs to be done to fix them. Nina has been looking into it for us. Morning.
Looking into the pothole.
I love that.
Yeah.
Looking into
a deep dive.
A deep dive, literally. And they're expensive, they're annoying. And I was just thinking back to the very first report I did for the BBC years and years ago. It was on potholes. It always gets people riled. Yeah. They've not gone away, and it feels like it's getting worse. Yeah, good morning. Around 4 million journeys made every day on our motorways and major A roads. And along the way, all too often, there are those potholes like these. Have a look. Yuck. This is the M40 in Buckinghamshire last week. That might look familiar. The RAC tells us this morning there's no excuse for motorists having to drive in conditions like this, because trying to swerve them can be dangerous. Falling into them can cause a lot of damage. Have a look at this. This was caused by a pothole with 2 different wheels on the M6, and that must have been quite scary too when he's driving at speed. Motorways do represent just 1% of road miles across Britain, but they can be busy, really busy. Some sections of motorway carry more than 200,000 vehicles every day. So who's responsible for fixing them? Well, that's down to National Highways. They look after England's motorways. In Scotland, it's the responsibility of Traffic Scotland, and in Wales, it's Traffic Wales. We don't know exactly how many potholes there are out there, but what we do know is getting close to 21,000 were repaired in England alone last year, and that's up, as you can see, by a couple of thousand from the year before. Also up is the number of people reporting potholes, because, let's face it, you can't really miss them. Here's our transport correspondent, Katie Austin.
They're the nemesis of drivers up and down the country. On the M40 motorway in Buckinghamshire, we saw quite a few.
So we actually just have gone over a pothole, which I couldn't really avoid because there's traffic on both sides. And I'm not even going that fast, I'm going about 50 because of the conditions. And that wasn't one I could avoid. Luckily, it wasn't a very big one.
The driver of this car was in the middle lane of the M6 in late February when he says a pothole burst 2 of his tyres. Thankfully, he managed to pull over safely.
It was quite scary. I think if we were in a vehicle that didn't have such advanced features, it would have been really easy to lose control of the car, especially because we had 2 punctures to the same side. To see a pothole of such significance and that could cause so much damage to a vehicle was really surprising.
With no spare tyre, Jonathan and his passengers had to wait for breakdown and recovery services. The damage cost him £700, and he says the offending pothole was still there 6 weeks later. On all types of road, including smaller local ones, motoring groups say it's been a bad year for potholes. And it's not only car drivers who can fall victim. Just ask this delivery business.
I've never known in 32 years of business potholes being in the situation and the state that they are now. The teams around the country say that there's been damage to vehicles, such as you can see here, that are happening on a daily basis, and as a result of that, that's increasing insurance claims, and it's increasing the cost to our network and to our customers in delays. It does happen on motorways as well as A roads and B roads. The challenge with motorways is that it tends to be a far more high impact collision with the pothole, and that of course can be extremely dangerous.
National Highways, which maintains Britain's major roads, told us it had a comprehensive inspection programme, and that when potholes are identified, it aims to repair any which are categorised as safety defects within 24 hours. The AA's advice to anyone unlucky enough to hit a pothole on a motorway badly enough to damage their vehicle is to try to get over to the hard shoulder or an emergency area, or leave the motorway at the nearest exit if you can. Katie Austin, BBC News.
There's some really good advice there at the end of Katie's report. The Department for Transport told us that National Highways gets nearly £6 billion in government funding over a 5-year period, and it's for them to determine how they spend that money. Meanwhile, National Highways tells us that research suggests motorways and A roads, 95% of them, in fact, are in good condition. More than. That's no good to you, is it, if you're the victim of the remaining 4%, which is why